Hello. In the house at the moment. It started off sunny and now it looks like it's going to rain. So we're in. And whew, it's been a busy day. Well, garden harvesting is such a pleasure and so rewarding. I wanted to run through today what I've got. I get questions. When is it time to harvest leeks or celery or any vegetable? So I thought I'd go through what's at least in my mind. When to harvest truly is individual preference. We get seed packs, and on those seed packs it says days to maturity, and that's a great guideline. But it's an estimate. So I'll tell you what I'm sort of looking for as my season goes on and progresses. First of all, every season is different, right? We know that you could have, I know in Newfoundland here anyway, you could have a warm summer, a cold summer, a late summer, early summer. Suddenly you can get a cold snap in the middle, just when a vegetable wants to mature or turn its color. So everything can happen. But part of the reason why my garden walks, which are pretty much daily, is not just for the pleasure of it, but about checking on the vegetables, seeing how they're doing, seeing what stage of maturity they're at. So, yeah, we have vegetables that, first of all, should be picked when they're immature. That would be your summer squash or zucchini, your beans, your peas. What else? Turnip, I don't have any here. And then there's vegetables and fruits, but that need to reach full maturity, and that would be your winter squash, your rutabaga, your melons if you're able to grow them, peppers to go change color, that you want them to fully be developed. So aside from that, and the seed packs, which give us an estimate, what else am I looking for? Well, is this a season where I am hit with a certain type of pest? And every season, I've got a few that are constant, but every season there seems to be a shift in which is the bug that's the flavor of the day or taking over the garden. So I know what plants might be susceptible to that, and I'm certainly going to keep an eye on those. And if it's still a little early to harvest, well, I'm still harvesting them. Doesn't matter. Say you had your allium leaf miner on your leeks. You want to check those every so often and make sure it's not hitting them, because they won't be any good to you. So waiting for a leek to reach full maturity may not be the route you want to go. Same could go with carrots. Same goes with anything. So maybe I'll just look at what I've got here. Okay, I'll start. Picked a few Brussels sprouts, very few, but we'll eat those and enjoy those. They're at a lovely, beautiful stage, and they're starting to be covered with sow bugs at the bottom. These are strictly from the bottom. The plant has much more to give me, but I'm not going to leave these out there to age and therefore be susceptible to bugs. So I'm looking for a vegetable in its prime is what I'm looking for. And it's also a vegetable not in its prime is what bugs start to look for. So I have to keep on top of that. I intense plant and interplant, so I really have to keep on top of that and make sure I'm looking through the forest that is my garden sometimes. I check in my garden as often as I can, because I feel that one of the biggest mistakes that I can make as a backyard gardener is not harvesting often enough, leaving things to go past their prime, past their optimum quality. Actually, there's probably more, but if I recall, there's 4 bases, chemical bases for quality factors that's looked at, and that's your flavor, nutrition, at the peak. And then there's texture and color. Those could be a little longer term vegetables. Peppers are a great example of that. And that's what I'm shooting for, and always trying to see where the vegetable is at. And then where it's gone wrong, what needs to happen. Right in front of me here, actually, I have a kohlrabi. Didn't reach its size. But we had so much rain a day ago that it completely split, and it's well, I'll probably salvage something from that, but pretty much toast. You'll see in front of me tomatoes that are only now just starting to blush, because when I went out today, I found 2 that had split due to the rain, and this one looks like it was about to. So I pulled those in, not waiting for them to go fully ripe on the vine. They'll ripen perfectly indoors, by the way, so there's no issue there at all. Flavor-wise, you can pick a tomato early. I'm going to go through my vegetables I have here and see if it triggers any thoughts. I'm actually coming around to these tiny wee spoon tomatoes, because what I do is grab handfuls and throw them in scrambled eggs or anything actually. Oh, broad beans. We all know when to pick them. You'll know. You can open one up and check. So there's these easy vegetables to check, and the preferred size you want there. Young and tender is beautiful. Larger ones, more meatier. So it's what you want. I get all types, and I kind of, it doesn't matter to me because I'm freezing them and using them later in more, your type of stews. Beans themselves, a snap bean. You want to pick, I've got some here. I've got a whole bunch of beans here that I've picked today that are all throughout my garden, not in my bean bed. So I'm making sure I pick those. A snap bean, you want to make sure snaps. That's when this one's a little too small. But its perfect ripeness is when it snaps. I've got some that are a little too large. Again, these are going to go into stewy type things, so I'm just catching up and trying to catch those. I've harvested an awful lot of beans, so at this point, I'm skipping plants, but trying to catch them get all the food that I possibly can. What else have I got here? Onions, you harvest, as you know, when they fall over, but I leave some out there. They hadn't fallen over. They still haven't fallen over today. But what I'm seeing signs of, and I've cut them off, here's one, is the tops are going and the sow bugs are inside them. Creeps me right out. So brought those in. Didn't want to leave them out anymore. Globe artichokes, you're just waiting for those florets to just slightly open. So those are straightforward. Cabbage, depending on your variety, what you've got. This happens to be a very small variety, quick growing. So even though it's a small hit, it's meant to be. Because I don't do well personally, I think I'm the only one in Newfoundland, with beautiful heads of cabbage. But those are working just fine for me. Actually, as I walk through the garden too, gather any seeds you have. These are nasturtium. I've got quite a few, but always doing that when I'm going through my garden beds also. Zucchini, we know we want them 4 to 8 inches. Always some that get away from you. Lots of dishes you can cook them with. But I got to keep on top of those. Actually, one zucchini right here is perfect, but where it was, it had something leaning on it, and the sow bugs were just starting to get that. I'll cut that off. So you never know who's attacking what. Parsnips and turnip can be left in. They can go to, well, turnip not so, rutabaga not so much. Sorry, rutabaga. You want to get that just before the frost, but they've still got, they're long growing, and so they'll still take time. But I needed it in the kitchen. Parsnip, I need it in the kitchen. They can handle a frost, and you can dig them out of the snow if you wanted to. Same with carrots, if you protect them enough that you can get at them. But I don't actually I don't like my carrots to go that late. I find they are past their prime, very much. And parsnip, I don't need to. I buy a variety that's sweet anyways, and I'm not into digging in the snow. However, I need those for the kitchen. Carrots. I think we all know you want to go to 1.5 inch, 1 inch. I've got, this one's funny. It's 2, I thought it was 2 out of the ground, see? And it was one monster who's just starting to split there. So I'm glad I pulled those because I thought, oh, those are just the right size. Unbeknownst to me, it was a big one. This one went a little bit big, and here just a little bit of pest pressure. So, and here I've picked carrots because I wanted to thin where they were. So, various reasons why we're doing those. Leeks. Leeks can stay in a long time also. But I pull them to when they're about 1 inch so that I can prepare them for my freezer. And I just like to, I've got a lot of leeks out there, so I just like to do it slowly. So I've picked 5 today that I'll process. Celery, same thing. I've picked 2 today that, that I've already, you can see where I've been, I think you can, yeah, where I've already been cut and come again with them. So it's time for these to come out and process them. So that I'll be doing today. It's preference for the celery also. We don't necessarily eat celery like with your cheese whiz or whatnot, and or peanut butter. It's for my cooking mostly. So even if they went a little longer, because it can go a little bitter, it's usually okay for me. But these are beautiful. These are in their prime and peak and perfect, and I wanted to start working on them. This is only my 4th celery I've pulled out, just because I'm making it easy on myself, little bits at a time. Potatoes, I'll show you those. That was the first thing we did. Sun was out, and I got my 2 helpers to help me. So I'll show you our potato harvest. So what else? I have not pulled in, I give up today because the things would wilt. That's lettuce and Swiss chard. Lettuce can go bitter through the heat of the summer. So you want to keep on top of that. Your succession plants, my succession plants are coming now. There's a time where a lot of it just bolted and I've pulled that. Seems a bit of a waste, but as the heat comes on, I just know the leaves are bitter, and so I just tend to, I've probably overplanted. But the succession's coming now, and they'll be lovely. Swiss chard's always great. Size is a great indicator. You know the size that you want. I mentioned the carrots, the rutabaga. I don't want massive. I don't want massive carrots. I don't want massive rutabaga because they can go woody. So you'll, you know, the preferred kitchen flavors you want for your family is what you go for. I don't have winter squash here. That's still out in the garden. And they're being attacked by sow bugs. I've had a big conversation, went to a party the other night, and the sow bugs this year is off the charts. You can go out just before rain and you can't even step on the veranda, and we all have the same discussions. They're climbing up the walls of our house. I've never seen so many. I don't know what's going on. But they're eating my squash, which I've never seen before. So that's a shame, but there's things that you can't help either. That's going to happen. Maybe you have deer, maybe you have rabbit. I mean, I saw once a lady's whole cabbage crop here in Newfoundland. This was a couple of years ago. Taken out by a moose and her baby. They just went down this gorgeous cabbage patch and ate everything. She took a video of it. Poor thing. Winter squash. If it's not left to fully mature on the vine and you pick it too early, you can bring it inside. It will harden up and it will still last for many months for you inside. But you've picked it before it's prime. So, and I see people doing that. And it hasn't reached, it's the starches, the sugars, when it turns to sugar, when the plant's starting to die, you know that winter squash is starting to get sweeter. It's turning to sugars. So if you can, if pests aren't eating them, leave your winter squash on the vine as long as you can. Catch them before frost, but see how far you can push them. We know to check with the thumbnail and the brown stem, but the plant dying back, I find, is when you're going to get the most flavor, because it'll be pretty flavorless winter squash if you pick it too early. So I'll show you the potatoes. Let's look at those. So today's the day that we've chosen to take the rest of our potatoes out. This is all of them now, the last bit. We have enjoyed a lot so far. So we'll see what today brings. Always exciting to pull the potatoes. The potatoes we have here are Russet Burbank and just a few of the Irish Cobbler. They were planted around May, I think it was May 20th, but they've reached their 120 days maturity, and that'll do us just fine.
This guy.
Well, 3 people, that was short work, all done.
You can put it in the basket.
So we did weigh these off and added the weights from the row that we had previously harvested, minus the Norlands that I had, but a little over 80 pounds of potatoes. So we've spread them out. They'll sit out here for about 2 hours, and then we'll take them inside the garage to cure. Well, we're pleased with our harvest today. All of it. I put some of the larger potatoes on the top to show you. These will now go into my garage, as I said, to cure. Just wanted to bring them in to show. Aren't these beauties? It's a good thing we grow our own vegetables so we can afford all this coffee. These boxes work great. Well, happy days when we're harvesting. And remember, as you're walking around your gardens and checking on how everything's doing, I think pretty much each plant has its own story of growth. That's what we're looking for.